Hello, this is Ann Beversdorg, and welcome to the Beversdorg Briefing. When Mars is not moving forward, nothing much moves forward. Mars recently, on March 10th, went direct, so it is now moving forward again. So if you have any projects that have been languishing and you haven't been able to get off the ground and the energy has been stuck, that energy is likely to come loose right now. It may come loose with the force of a slingshot. There may be a stone going through a window, but at least the energy is freeing up now. We're going to have a couple of interesting astrological events coming up later this month in early April. And first of all, we've got a full moon coming up on the 29th of March. And the reason this is important is because this full moon ties in with Pluto and Mars and Saturn. So this is likely to be a very intense time. This is not the time to argue forcefully with anybody because tempers are likely to flare. There's a frustration level associated with that. And as we move into April, we have Pluto stationing retrograde just a few days later on April 6th. So that period between March 29 and April, let's say 7th and 8th, is going to be a very high tension period. So my suggestion for individuals is to lay off, take the pressure off of yourself. When something doesn't go your way, walk away, come back later with a smoother emotional approach to it. Don't let your anger or your frustration get the best of you, because when that starts going, things can get out of control. On a national level, we may see some people who have not had this kind of advice or followed it, or don't have natural control, having let go of their control and acted out. So it's going to be an interesting period. What I want to speak to, one more astrological thing, is Mercury is going to go retrograde on April 17th. That's approximately a month from now. But when Mercury is retrograde, this is not a time to sign contracts or do things like that. It's a very good time for anything that has to do with redoing, rethinking, research, rewriting. It's actually a good time for writing also. So if you're a writer, that would be a very good time. It's a 3-week period, so that's just FYI. It happens 3 times a year. We pretty much are used to it. But what I want to do is I want to talk to you about symbolism. And I was recently reading some of the Mayan stories that are related to the world ages of the Mayan culture. And of course, many people are concerned about and talking about the end of the Mayan calendar at 2012. Actually, what it is the end of a world age, not the end of the calendar as a whole. A new calendar starts, a new world age starts at that time. But the story associated in the Mayan culture is very, very important. And I think we can see in our world around us some elements of this story symbolically playing out. So here's the story. There are 2 god beings, and one is called one Hunahpu. And one Hunahpu is a wise, generous, caring father figure who is looking out for the best interest of all of his people. He is a being of very high consciousness, who encourages cooperation among everyone and making sure everybody has what they need for a healthy, happy life. That's one of the 2 beings. And the other is Seven Macaw. And Seven Macaw has a very different quality to him. Seven Macaw is greedy, and as the world age progresses, he gets greedier and greedier and more powerful. Now, this world age began in August of 3114 BC. August 11th, I think, is the date, but be that as it may, it's been going on for almost 5,000 years now. So what we're looking at is the end of the age where Seven Macaw is, as the age progresses, he gets greedier and greedier and more powerful. Now, in the Mayan stories, at the end of the age, Seven Macaw says, first he cuts off the head of one Hunahpu. He gets rid of the guy who is trying to help everybody. And he says at this point, I am the most powerful being under the sun. I own everything under the sun. And so he's crowing about his great success. And as he does this, the age ends. So the age ends with one Hunahpu's head cut off. Now, in that period between the ages, some interesting things happen. One Hunahpu's head has been thrown into a gourd tree, and a young woman walks by and hears somebody talking to her from this gourd tree. And she sees nothing but gourds. But one of them is really the head of one Hunahpu. And one Hunahpu says, "Come closer, I need to give you something." And so she comes closer and holds out her hand, and he spits into her hand, and she becomes pregnant with the hero twins. The hero twins are magicians and tricksters, and they know the secret of dying and coming back to life, and dying and coming back to life, and dying and coming back to life. And this is, really a powerful secret to know. And Seven Macaw and the Lords of Death, or the Lords of the Underworld, are really interested in getting this secret for themselves, because they thought they owned everything in the world, but they don't have the secret. So the hero twins decide, we'll figure this out. We'll promise them the secret. So they tell Seven Macaw, we will teach you how to die and come back to life, and die and come back to life, so you can never really be killed. And they all line up and say, we're ready, we're ready. So the hero twins get together with these guys. They all jump into the cosmic fire and die, but only the hero twins come back. So it's a trick to get rid of the bad guys through the mechanism of their own greed. Now, if we want to talk about greed in our current culture, what we're talking about is corporations. And the Supreme Court decision of earlier this year, 2010, was I was reading this story at the very time the Supreme Court decision happened. And to me, it seemed like this was Seven Macaw cutting off the head of one Hunahpu. We are not having public servants who serve the people. We are now having public servants who are bought and paid for by corporations. So the greed has trumped one Hunahpu. It's cut off the head of the service-oriented leader. So we're now waiting for the birth of the hero twins. Now, obviously, we're not waiting for a woman to give birth to twins. We're waiting for a symbol. We're waiting for the trickster who will lead the greedy into their own demise. And I just think this is an interesting period to be watching. We're clearly following the symbolism that comes at the end of a world age. When I talk about the end of a world age, absolutely the challenges, I don't think the challenges we're going to see before the end of 2012 are going to be, say, greater than the challenges of World War II, greater than the challenges of the Dust Bowl. I don't think we're going to be seeing things that are of a greater nature, certainly not greater than the Black Plague. So we're not looking at those things. We're looking at the way the symbolism works. So I just want to leave you with that little story and tell you to watch for the hero twins, and email me if you see them in action. Ann@stariel.com. Thank you very much.